Hi everyone. So if you hear loud banging, my neighbor likes to run up and down the stairs because they can't be quiet for anything, and they're probably about to slam the door, to our building. I don't know if you heard it. So today we are going to be talking about Beatrice Adam. It's a very sad case, like most of them are. But what makes this case really sad is that most of the information I have for you is about her is from her dad. So I found this article that her dad did as an interview, I guess, about her, and mostly what I found out about her was through him, like through the article. I didn't speak to him directly, and very little actual outlets had anything about her case. So that's extremely sad. So this will be quite short, uh, but I still wanted to talk about it anyway. I don't know if I said who we're talking about. It's Beatrice Adam. And yeah, so the links that I was able to use for research will be down below. And so will a link to the case suggestions form if there's anything you want me to talk about. And I'm going to go ahead and get into it. So, before her death, Beatrice lived on the streets of Prince Albert and struggled with substance abuse. And this is what her father says. And he says the last 5 years of her life were unstable, said Alan Adam. Her personal family life just went down. She was married before and had 3 boys. Beatrice spent the last few years of her life in Prince Albert, but she was originally from Fond du Lac. You know what? Give me a second, and I'm going to Google how to pronounce this because I don't want to butcher it. So give me 1 second. Okay, I guess it's pronounced exactly how it looks, but Fond du Lac Denisoline First Nation. Um, that's exactly what the pronunciation person that was saying it said. But she also had lived in Yellowknife and in Uranium City and La Ronge. And her father goes on to say, we tried very hard to get her off the street. Um, and he says this while remembering what it was like to come home after a visit with his daughter. Um, and he goes on to say she had everything. A really good life, everything a little young person could have that we could afford. She took French immersion, she took music, she was really smart, and she was really climatized to the Dene ways. He also taught Beatrice the Dene language, and says she had the best of all worlds that she lived at the time. She loved to sing, she had a really good voice, a really beautiful voice. And she would actually sing well into her early adulthood, and when she was young, she also enjoyed camping and fishing too. So now I'm going to get into, of course, the sad part of the case. But I hoped that little bit, it kind of told you about who she was. She definitely didn't have an easy life as she got older with her substance abuse, but she seemed like an amazing person. So Beatrice was 36, and she was last seen alive on a bridge in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, on October 8th, 2014. It was 4 days later that her body was found floating in the North Saskatchewan River. Her father, Alan, still wonders what happened to Beatrice as he crosses the bridge where she was last seen. He says, I still feel it today when I cross that bridge. He doesn't believe his daughter would have jumped into the river to end her life, despite any challenges she was going through. And he says she had bruises on her nose, on her body. She had broken ribs. Maybe it's from the fall. We don't know. Her father does say that Beatrice was with her boyfriend on that night in October on the bridge, and that there were witnesses to that. So, the Prince Albert Police Service actually did confirm that 3 people were on that bridge. Beatrice, her boyfriend, and a third person who left the scene. And obviously the police really didn't do much, and her father confirms this when he says they could have asked more questions. When he was asked about the police investigation, he says, they said that people were yelling on the bridge, but it was dark. Since her death, her boyfriend has been missing, and efforts to search for him in the same area where her body was found have not been successful. And that right there to me is a ton of red flags. He was on the bridge with her when she died. Well, it could have been before she died, and he left and she jumped. Although obviously her father doesn't think that, and I am inclined to believe her father because he knows her better than anybody does. But we can't say that he did it because obviously we don't have that evidence. But it's really suspicious that he was there that night and he's gone and has not been able to be found in 7 or 8 years now. And it's really upsetting that the police obviously hasn't done much. It's kind of like they don't really care about Beatrice, which, I mean, she is an Indigenous woman, and I think it's pretty obvious that they don't get the same attention that white people do. Like, it's just obvious. And there's totally more that they could have done. They could have tried to have found that witness, because I didn't find anywhere that said that they did and questioned them. I didn't find anything about that. They obviously didn't find the boyfriend. Like, they could have done quite a bit more. But moving on. So, a Prince Albert coroner's investigation determined that Beatrice's death was deemed accidental. Her cause of death was drowning, and alcohol was determined to be a factor. So, the family believes that the investigation into her death was closed too quickly, which I totally agree with just by looking at the facts of the case. There wasn't enough done. So her sister Faye said that the coroner's report made it seem as though Beatrice jumped from the rail bridge. And she goes on to say she was definitely not that kind of person. That was one of our big unanswered questions and one of our concerns. It just seemed very odd. I don't think she would have jumped, says her sister. She was a very happy-go-lucky, very loving, and she didn't seem like she would jump. The autopsy indicated that there were bruises and marks on her that just didn't go with what apparently had happened, said Faith. With bruising and certain marks, they just said it didn't seem that it would happen with falling in the water. We're not really sure what happened. And of course, she goes on to say that she would like to see her sister's case reopened for investigation, which would be amazing, because I totally don't believe that Beatrice got the justice that she deserves, because there's just so many red flags, and it's kind of like the police just wanted to, like, close it and go on with their lives. They didn't really care, and I feel for her family so much. Faith says it's been a struggle for all of my family, especially myself. I really looked up to her and we were really close. I definitely miss her. Hopefully the justice system can see something good come out of it. I'd really like to see more answers. Anything would make me feel better at this point. It's coming up to almost 2 years now. This is in the article that I was reading. So it was about 2016. And still we don't have any answers or anything that extensive. We'd all like to see something, some more evidence, some more closure for us to see if the police made an effort or if they did find something else. I feel for her sister because I have my own sister that I looked up to for a really long time. And she sounds a lot like Beatrice, so I can definitely imagine the pain that Faith is in. So Beatrice's father echoed Faith, adding that he would like to see some way to ensure the recommendations brought forward to the inquiry are acted on. Once it's done, whatever the recommendations are, that they have ways to act on them, better surveillance or better ways of keeping track of people who do these kind of things. And he adds that it still hurts to think about Beatrice. And he says, for me, it still hurts every time I go across the bridge because there are still some answers in terms of questions that aren't being answered. We just don't know yet. It's a hard thing, and she's my daughter. She's my baby, and I still miss her a lot. And that's literally all I have for you guys on Beatrice. And I've said this in other videos, so I'm going to say it here. Perhaps they have been doing more in the investigation. Maybe they have reopened it and just haven't said anything, because I've heard of that happening in cases where police reopen cases and don't say anything to the families. But and that's just me trying to be fair, because I don't really feel like they did that. It just really seems like they don't have any care about it, and that's upsetting, because it makes you wonder, like, why don't they want to do it? Like, it's your job. And is it just simply because they don't want to help her because she's Indigenous? Is there more to it? Like, who was that witness? Because I was never able to find a name about that witness. So, yeah, it just, you do have a lot of questions, and her family deserves those answers, and Beatrice deserves her justice. But like I said, that is all I have for you guys today. I wish I had more, but hopefully this spoke to you in some way, and hopefully we will see answers in the future. And if her family comes across this video, I am so sorry, and I hope that y'all get the answers that you're looking for. And I'm sure it still hurts to this day, but hopefully, I don't know, you're feeling a little bit better or something, I don't know. I've never been in your situation, so I can't speak to it, but, yeah. Beatrice sounded like a lovely person, but I'm gonna end this here. Thank you guys for listening to Beatrice's story, and I will see you guys next week. Bye, guys.